There's a particular kind of heaviness that enters your day the moment worry first whispers in your mind. It might be something small, a thought that brushes past you while you're getting ready, or a feeling you can't name as you sip your morning coffee. But before you even realize it, that tiny spark of concern begins to gather weight. Your chest tightens a little, your breathing grows shallow, and suddenly you're no longer here in this moment. You're already living inside a future that hasn't happened yet. Most people think fear shows up only when something threatening is near, but fear has a much subtler nature. It shapes the way you look at life long before anything actually occurs. It colors your thinking, shifts your reactions, and quietly bends your path. And the truth that Buddhist wisdom teaches is this: fear is not just an emotion. Fear is a seed. Every seed carries the blueprint of what it will become. Plant a mango seed, you get a mango tree. Plant a lotus seed, and a lotus eventually rises. Fear works the same way. The moment it enters the soil of your mind, it begins to take root. It sprinkles its influence into your judgments, the way you interpret situations, the tone of your voice, the way you show up in your relationships. And the more attention you feed it, the deeper its roots grow. The mind is like a field, vast, open, fertile. It doesn't distinguish between what is helpful and what is harmful. It simply nurtures whatever you place into it. If you keep watering fear, fear expands. If you keep watering calm, calm expands. That is the quiet power of the inner world. Whatever you nurture within it is what shapes the world you walk through. Think about a time you were afraid of losing your job. The fear didn't stay in your thoughts. It leaked into your behavior. You hesitated when you normally would have spoken with confidence. You overchecked your work, not for excellence but out of self-doubt. You read harmless feedback as criticism. You shrank, and without realizing it, you began reinforcing the very outcome you were trying so desperately to avoid. Or consider relationships. When someone carries a deep fear of abandonment, it doesn't matter how kind, stable, or loving their partner may be. That internal fear starts tugging at them from within. They check the phone too often. They analyze every pause in conversation. They cling, or they pull away before the other person can. And the strangest part? The fear of losing someone often becomes the very force that pushes them away. It's not fate punishing you. It's the seed you've been unknowingly watering. Buddhist teachings remind us that the mind does not judge the seeds you offer it. It doesn't say, "This one is fear, this one is joy, I will choose for you." No. The mind responds to whatever is planted, and it grows those seeds with remarkable devotion, whether they bring peace or suffering. This is why awareness is so essential. It's not about pretending everything is fine or denying your emotions. It's about recognizing what you're allowing to take root. Are you feeding thoughts that nourish your spirit or thoughts that drain it? Are you encouraging clarity or fueling panic? Are you choosing presence or letting fear drag you into a future that doesn't exist? Every moment offers a choice. Not a dramatic, life-changing choice, just a subtle shift in attention. When fear rises, you can pause. You can breathe. You can ask gently, "Is this thought helping me live more fully, or is it contracting my heart?" Most people never stop to ask this. They let fear dictate their day, their choices, their self-worth. But the second you question it, even softly, fear loses a little of its power. Because here is the truth. Buddhist wisdom wants you to understand. You are the gardener of your inner landscape. You decide what gets planted. You decide what grows. You decide whether fear becomes the story of your life or simply a passing cloud that dissolves when met with awareness. And as your inner world shifts, the world around you begins to change with it. Fear loosens, tension fades, choices become clearer. Life feels less like something threatening and more like something you're capable of meeting with open eyes and a steady heart. So before we move on, take a moment, not long, just a breath, to ask yourself, what fear have I been watering without knowing it? And what might my life feel like if I stopped feeding that seed? If this reflection is already stirring something inside you, Consider leaving a quiet sign of gratitude, a like, a comment, or even a simple, "I'm here." It helps this space grow, and it reminds others that they aren't walking this path alone. There is a message we are taught from a very young age, a message repeated so often that we rarely question it. If you want a good life, you must stay in control. Control your schedule, control your emotions, control your success, your future, your relationships. Hold everything tightly, or it might slip away. In our modern world, control is celebrated almost like a virtue. The more you manage, the more responsible you seem. The more you hold together, the stronger people think you are. But if you look at control through the lens of Buddhist wisdom, something surprising becomes clear. The need to control is often just fear in disguise. Where society sees strength, Buddhism sees contraction. Where society praises managing everything, Buddhism points out the tension beneath it. Where society says, "Hold tighter," the Dharma whispers gently, "Let go." This doesn't mean living carelessly or abandoning responsibility. Letting go isn't about ignoring your life. It's about releasing the illusion that everything depends on your grip. Because the harder you try to force life into your preferred shape, the further you drift from trust, from faith, from the natural rhythm that has been carrying all things long before you were born. Control operates from worry. Faith operates from steadiness. One shrinks your world, the other opens it. The more you cling, the more brittle your heart becomes. The more you soften, the more strength you discover. Think for a moment about holding a small bird. If you squeeze too tightly, afraid it will escape, you harm it. But if you open your palm, if you give it space, something remarkable happens. The bird may stay longer, and even if it flies away, it may return on its own. Life is like that. People are like that. Opportunities are like that. Peace is like that. When you cling, you suffocate what you want to protect. When you loosen your grip, you invite alignment. Trying to control every detail of your life is like constantly pulling at the steering wheel, convinced the road below you will collapse if you let go even for a second. But life doesn't need you to micromanage its flow. It already knows how to move. It already knows where to take you. What it needs is your participation, not your domination. There is a kind of grace that appears only when you stop interfering. There is a clarity that surfaces only when the mind stops wrestling with itself. There is a natural intelligence to the unfolding of things, a timing you couldn't plan even if you tried. Think back to moments when your life felt tangled, times when you pushed, insisted, demanded, and things only became more complicated. Now contrast that with moments when you paused, breathed, stepped back, and suddenly the right person showed up, the right opportunity appeared, the right answer surfaced without force. This is not coincidence. This is what happens when you stop blocking the flow. Control is a very loud energy. It tightens the shoulders, narrows the breath, and fills the mind with what if and what next. Faith is quieter, yet stronger. It says, "I'll do what's mine to do, and trust the rest." This trust isn't naive. It's wise. It's the trust that monks speak about when they say the universe follows a rhythm deeper than logic. It's the trust that comes when you recognize that no matter how much you plan, you cannot dictate the outcome of every situation. Your job is effort. Life's job is timing. Your job is sincerity. Life's job is alignment. Your job is to show up with clarity and courage. Life's job is to weave the paths you cannot see. The moment you release excessive control, the mind begins to soften. The body loosens. Possibilities that felt invisible start to reveal themselves. You notice conversations, ideas, and opportunities that were always there, but hidden beneath the panic of trying to manage every scenario. Letting go does not make you weak. It frees your strength. It frees your intuition. It frees your heart to move with life instead of constantly bracing against it. And slowly, without any dramatic moment, you begin to feel accompanied. Life stops feeling like an opponent you must outthink and becomes more like a partner walking beside you. This is the silent promise of Buddhist wisdom. When you release the need to control everything, You create space for the right things to enter. And something beautiful starts to happen when you loosen your grip even a little. The tension that once sat like a knot in your chest begins to unwind. Your breath grows softer. Your thoughts stop sprinting ahead of you. It feels almost like placing down a weight you didn't realize you'd been carrying for years. People often think peace arrives as a result of solving every problem, but more often it arrives the moment you stop interfering with life's natural rhythm. When the constant mental pushing quiets down, a sense of ease begins moving through you. Gentle, steady, undeniable. This ease isn't laziness, it's clarity. It's the mind returning to a state where it can finally notice what's actually happening instead of what it fears might happen. And in that space, life begins to flow in a way that feels almost miraculous, even though it's completely natural. Life has always known how to move. It knows how to evolve, how to open, how to redirect you, how to guide you toward what you need rather than what your fear demands. When we stop jamming the gears with anxiety, doubt, and overthinking, life takes its natural shape again. Our unnecessary interference is like dropping rocks into a stream. Each fear, each suspicion, each imagined scenario stirring the water until everything appears turbulent and chaotic. But move those rocks aside, even a few of them, and the current returns to its gentle path. That path isn't forced, it's not controlled, it's simply allowed. And this is the shift we so often forget. Life doesn't need your fear to function. It needs your presence. Imagine a stream winding through a forest. It doesn't run in a straight line. It bends around stones, curves through valleys, flows over roots and fallen branches. Yet it always finds a way forward. No matter how complex the terrain, the water adapts. It shifts, softens, moves, and continues. Your life operates in much the same way. You don't need every detail to be perfect or predictable. You don't need every path to be smooth before you take a step. When you stop blocking the flow with worry, your inner waters clear. Your intuition awakens. Your emotional landscape settles enough for you to sense the direction that was always there, quietly waiting beneath the noise. This isn't a passive surrender. It's a wise one. Think of a sail on a boat. If you pull the sail too tight because you're afraid of losing control, the fabric strains. The ropes dig in, and the whole structure becomes unstable. But when you ease the sail just enough to catch the wind, the boat moves effortlessly across the water. Not because you forced the speed, but because you aligned with what was already carrying you. This is how your inner life works. A mind stretched too tight tears easily, but a mind that knows how to loosen at the right moment is carried farther than force ever could. At a certain point, people reach an inner realization, an aha moment that shifts their entire relationship with life. They realize, often with a sense of relief, that the world does not collapse if they stop trying to micro-direct every outcome. The conversation still unfolds, the opportunity still finds them, the healing still happens, the relationship either steadies or reveals its truth. Life keeps moving, whether or not you hover over it. Many discover that things actually turn out better when they step back, and that the peace they were searching for doesn't come from perfect control. It comes from releasing the belief that they must control everything in the first place. This is why spiritual traditions, including Buddhism, emphasize harmony rather than domination. Harmony with your circumstances, harmony with change, harmony with your own mind. When you stop wrestling with life, life stops wrestling with you. You realize the universe was never your opponent. It was your teacher. It was your companion. It was the quiet current beneath your feet, inviting you to walk with less fear and more openness. Life has its own rhythm, one that never rushes, yet is never late. When you stop creating turbulence with imagined fears and compulsive interventions, you begin to feel that rhythm again. You notice how timing unfolds without your pressure. You recognize synchronicities that once went unseen. You sense support in places where previously there was only strain. And slowly, the truth reveals itself. You were never meant to drag life behind you. You were meant to move with it. As this part comes to a close, hold this gentle understanding in your heart. When you step aside, life steps in. When you soften, life aligns. When you allow, life responds. The flow wasn't missing. You were simply standing in the middle of it. Let the current carry you a little. You might be surprised how far you go when you stop swimming against yourself. So after all this reflection, the natural question becomes, how do you actually live this way? How do you take these gentle teachings and bring them into the very real, very human moments of your daily life? The misunderstandings, the waiting, the uncertainty, the emotional storms that come without warning? Wisdom only becomes transformation when it is practiced, and the beauty of these teachings is that they don't require big rituals or dramatic changes. They ask for something quieter: awareness, sincerity, and a willingness to soften. So let's begin with something simple. Today, not tomorrow, not next week. Today, how can you start applying this? The first step is to notice the grip. Before you can let go, you must recognize where you're holding on. Most people don't see their own tightness. It shows up as checking your phone again and again, hoping for a message that will calm your fears. It shows up as replaying a conversation long after it's ended, trying to perfect what you should have said. It shows up as pushing a decision you're not ready for, rushing a relationship, forcing productivity, or demanding clarity long before life has given it to you. The grip often hides in small habits: tension in your shoulders, breath that doesn't reach your belly, thoughts that feel like they're chasing you instead of supporting you. When you catch yourself doing this, don't judge it. Simply acknowledge it. Ah, I'm holding on again. I see it. Awareness is the beginning of release. Just noticing the grip already loosens it. Once you see where you're tightening, you move to the second step. Do what is truly yours to do. This step is quiet but powerful. It asks you to act from clarity, not fear. Sometimes this means having an honest conversation. Sometimes it means taking one practical step toward your goal. Sometimes it means resting, because forcing yourself further would only drain your spirit. Your role is not to control outcomes. Your role is to show up with integrity, speak your truth with kindness, tend to your responsibilities with care, and treat yourself with gentleness. Buddhists call this right effort, doing what is yours to do without tying your worth to how things turn out. When you act from steadiness rather than panic, your actions carry a different energy. They are cleaner. They are kinder. They ripple outward with far more impact than anything done in desperation. And once you've done what is yours, you stop. You breathe. You step back. That is where the next stage begins. The third step is the heart of the practice. Release the rest. This is the step people fear most, but it is also the one that brings the deepest peace. Releasing isn't about abandoning care or pretending you don't desire certain outcomes. It's about recognizing what lies beyond your control and offering it to life with trust. It's whispering to yourself, "I've done my part. Now I let the timing unfold." In Buddhist language, this is the essence of impermanence, non-self, and dependent arising. But you don't need scholarly terms to understand it. It simply means that not everything bends to your will, and that's not a failure. It's nature. Everything changes. Everything moves. Everything unfolds through countless conditions you cannot see. What is meant for you will not require you to suffocate it. What is not meant for you cannot be forced into harmony. Releasing is choosing peace over panic, clarity over chaos, alignment over control. As you practice this, something deep shifts inside you. You begin to realize that letting go is not weakness. It is strength. It takes far more courage to trust than to cling. It takes far more wisdom to soften than to harden. Releasing doesn't make you passive. It makes you available. Available for insight. Available for new paths. available for people and opportunities you couldn't recognize while you were tangled in fear. And slowly, you start to feel supported in ways that logic alone can't explain. Life begins to meet you halfway. Doors open without force. Situations resolve without strain. The right things arrive in their own timing because you're no longer blocking them with your worry. This is what it feels like when you stop wrestling with life and begin to move with its rhythm. So as we close this final part, hold one understanding gently in your heart. You don't need to have everything figured out. You don't need to push the river. You only need to take one honest step, breathe deeply, and trust the current that's been guiding you since the day you were born. Life will rise to meet you when you stop standing in your own way. If these words resonated, I'd love to hear from you. In the comments, gently name one thing you're ready to release, even just a little. Someone reading may find comfort in your courage. And if you wish to keep walking this path with us, remember to like the video and subscribe for more quiet wisdom.